told me the psychiatric wing had been closed for decades. So when I heard someone humming behind one of the locked doors, I knew I wasn't alone. I took my first night shift at St. Augustine Hospital the summer before I graduated. The schedule was brutal, but the pay was decent, and I was desperate for the experience. It was the kind of hospital where fluorescent lights hummed louder than people talked, and the smell of disinfectant clung to your clothes, no matter how long you showered. That night, the charge nurse's stern woman named Donna asked if I could cover rounds in the old psychiatric building next door. The power grid was still connected to the main hospital, and they needed someone to do routine equipment checks for maintenance. It's sealed off, but we keep the lights on for safety, she said, her tone flat. Just an hour. Make sure nothing's leaking or sparking. Being new and eager to prove myself, I didn't question it. The walkway connecting the two buildings was a long, narrow tunnel lined with windows that reflected my silhouette like a moving shadow. When I stepped into the old psychiatric wing, the air felt stale. The temperature dropped almost immediately, and the sound of my shoes on the tile floor echoed for far too long. The place looked untouched, completely frozen in time. Faded posters about wellness goals still clung to the walls. A stack of patient charts sat on a counter, their corners yellowed and curled with age. Dust particles danced in the air like tiny suspended snowflakes. I started down the main corridor, my flashlight beam cutting through the darkness as I checked the rooms one by one. Most of the doors were locked solid. The few that weren't revealed empty hospital beds with cracked leather restraints and old IV stands coated in a thick layer of grime. I kept telling myself it was just an empty building, nothing to worry about. Halfway down the hall, I heard a faint click like a door latch shifting. I froze, every muscle tensed. The sound came again, this time followed by a slow, drawn-out creak. It was unmistakable. One of the locked doors had just opened. I swung my flashlight toward the noise, the beam landing on a door labeled Ward C. It was slightly ajar. I hesitated, then stepped closer, my voice shaking as I called out, "Hello, maintenance, just checking the lights." Silence. Then, from inside the room, a low humming began. It was a soft, tuneless melody, feminine and distant, like someone trying to comfort themselves in the dark. My throat went dry. "Hello," I said again, my voice barely a whisper this time. The humming stopped instantly. I pushed the door open, the flashlight beam shaking in my hand as it sliced across the room. I saw an empty bed, an overturned chair, and nothing else. No one was there, but on the far wall, written in something dark and brown, were the words, "Night shift never ends." I backed out, my heart pounding against my ribs, whispering every rational excuse I could think of. Maybe another staff member was playing a prank. Maybe a squatter had gotten in. I just needed to finish my checks and get out. I turned down another hallway, trying to focus on the task. But as I walked, I noticed something strange. Every few minutes, the overhead lights would flicker on for a split second. When they did, things looked different. The walls appeared cleaner. The posters looked newer. I could have sworn I saw movement at the nurse's station, figures walking briskly, papers in hand, talking in hushed tones. And then, as soon as the light steadied, everything was old and empty again. I hurried to the elevator bay to check the main electrical panels. The doors were open. Inside, the lights flickered again, and this time they revealed something that made my stomach twist into knots. There were footprints, dozens of them, bare feet, dusty, leading out of the elevator and right down the hall I had just come from. I told myself to go, right now. Just leave the clipboard, tell Donna the job was done, and never come back. But before I could move, the overhead intercom crackled to life. It shouldn't have worked. The system was disconnected decades ago. A distorted, raspy voice came through, whispering, "Room check, Ward C, all staff. Report to Ward C." That was it. I ran. I didn't care about the equipment, the report, or how it would look. I bolted down the hallway, my footsteps echoing like gunshots in the dead quiet. The humming started again, this time closer, louder, seeming to come from everywhere at once. I raced past door after door, and from behind some of them, I heard shuffling, breathing, and even faint laughter. When I reached the connecting walkway, I risked a single glance back, and what I saw terrified me. The hallway I'd just fled was now glowing with a warm yellow light, as if it were fully operational and alive again. Through the glass, I saw figures moving, nurses, patients, and orderlies walking calmly under the fluorescent lights. One of them, a tall man in scrubs, stopped and turned directly toward me. He smiled, and with a slight tilt of his head, he raised his hand and waved me back. Then, the lights went out. I stumbled back into the main hospital, gasping for breath, half laughing and half crying with relief and terror. Donna saw me come in, pale and shaking. "You all right, kid?" she asked, her brow furrowed. I tried to explain what I'd seen, what I'd heard, but she just stared at me, completely confused. "The psychiatric wing," she said slowly. "That building's been locked up tight since '92. Nobody's allowed in there." I insisted she check the maintenance log. Sure, she'd see the request. But when she pulled it up, my name wasn't on any list. Neither was hers. In fact, the last recorded staff assigned to that wing were from 30 years ago. and every single name on that list had a small cross next to it, indicating they were deceased. I quit the next day. A few weeks later, my stupid curiosity got the better of me, and I looked up the history of St. Augustine's psychiatric ward. It had closed down after an electrical fire broke out during an overnight shift. The entire staff on duty was trapped inside. Every report said the same thing. All staff accounted for, no survivors. And at the bottom of the article, there was a grainy, black and white photo of the victims, lined up outside the burned wing. Donna was in it, smiling. Thanks so much for listening to my story. If you have a true scary story you'd like to share, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more chilling tales. Stay safe out there.